Hello and welcome to another video. This is part 6 of our Actix web series. So in this video we will be creating a post table. We'll have a foreign key in that table and then we'll use that foreign key to create a join statement. So this is where we left off. So let's go to our migrations. So there was a table, the default table that it gave, which we commented out. We'll uncomment this because this was a post table and we can just use this. We can also create a new migration. But I have this file, so I'll just use this one. Next up, inside our migration file, we'll remove this to-dos. And then let's add some more fields that we need. First up, let's add UUID, then image, and also user ID. Okay, now let's add these in our create table function. I'll just copy the existing columns and paste them and then alter them as I need. So for UUID, we'll do post UUID and the type will be UUID and we'll add a unique key. Next up, we have image. Again, we'll just copy paste text one. And then we'll replace the text with image. And it is string, but it is not null. It can be null. Next up, let's create the user ID column. This will be an integer and this will not be null. Next, we need to create a foreign key for this user ID. So we'll do foreign key create name, and then we'll give a name. Then we'll define from. So from is the table where the user ID column is. And then to. To is the table where the actual user exists. So in 2 we are getting an error for user. This is because it needs a reference to the enum of user. We'll make the user enum public. Then we should be able to import it. Okay, now our migration looks good. Let's go to our main, and here we have this migrator up. So this basically implements all the remaining migrations. We have one remaining migration, so this will work fine. Next up, we need some handlers and routes. So let's create our post handler and post routes. I'll just copy this user routes because it's almost the same. Okay, so we'll have two services in this one. One will be, let's say, secure slash post, and the other one will be just post. And the secure one, let's say, will have our user middleware. So this user middleware will be for secured routes. Let's add our routes and handler to mod.rs. Next, let's go to our post handler. Create a method for creating a post. For parameters, it will take app state. And also claims. So when we are creating a post, we don't want user to send its user ID. We'll just get it from the token. For return type, we'll have a result, API response, API response. First, let's return a simple string so that it doesn't throw us error. Now let's create this post model. So we'll do struct post model, and we'll do title and text. Rest of the stuff we can either create ourselves or we can get it from our token. Also, let's define the macro for this method. So this will be a post create. Okay, we need to give serialize and deserialize to our post model. Okay, let's create a post entity. We can't create a post entity because we haven't created the entities yet. So let's go to our terminal and let's run this, because it will create the table using migrator. Okay, we have an error. Okay, so in create table we have given UUID, we need to give user ID here. Okay, now let's again try to run this. And this time it was successful. Now our table have been created. Let's do one more thing. Let's add one more field created at. This will be a timestamp for our post. Now we need to change the migrator up to migrator fresh. Migrator fresh removes all the table and then recreates them. And since we have already run this once, our migration has already been applied, so it won't apply it again. So we need to do this fresh. So we'll do cargo run. Now let's just create our entities. You can get this command for generating entities in either in documentation of Sea ORM or in my previous videos. Okay, so we have generated our entities now. Let's go back to our post handler. Here we should get this post now. Next we'll do active model, and then we'll implement the model. So it will give us all the fields that we need to fill. Let's remove the ID. Next, for title, we'll do post model dot title. Next, we'll also wrap this up into a set. We'll do the same thing for text. Now for UUID. So in UUID, we need to add a package. This is a UUID crate. Let's scroll down a bit. Here we have this dependency. I will copy this and we'll paste it in our cargo.toml. Now we can also just copy paste this with all the features that we need, or we can add this using cargo CLI, and then we'll have to add all those features manually. So I'll just copy paste and then I should be able to use it in my post handler. So we will do here UUID new v4. Next up we have user ID. So same thing as we did in title and text. Only thing is we'll get this from our claim. Finally, created at. So in created at, we need to set a timestamp. So we'll do UTC now dot naive local. Okay, so our active model is almost ready. One thing we need to do is, after all these fields we have defined, we'll put a comma and add dot dot default. So this will fill in all the fields that we have not defined with default values such as ID and images. Okay, so with our active model ready, we need to insert this. We'll do post entity dot insert. Don't worry if your insert is giving error. If you hover over it, you will get this trait that we need. So we'll just copy this and paste at the top. And now our insert method will work. Inside insert method, we need to pass our database instance. And after that, we'll do await. And finally, we just need some error handling. Okay, so our insert statement is ready. Let's create another method. This one will be to get all my posts. So this will basically fetch all the posts of the current logged in user. We'll copy the same parameters. We don't need post model, so we'll remove that, but we'll still have our claims and app state. Return type will be same. Now let's fetch all the posts. Okay, in filter, we'll pass a condition. So we'll do entity post column and then created user ID. We'll do dot eq, so basically equal to, and we'll pass our claim dot id there. So same thing as the insert, eq is giving error. We'll just copy this trait from the error and paste at the top. Currently, this is giving us a result and a vec model inside that result. So we'll also need a model. Not right now, but for future, we'll have user information also. So let's create a model called post model and rename the post model which we had created to create post model. So this model will be like the blueprint of our post that will be sent to front end. We can go to our entities and just copy the entire model from our entities. We'll add a few fields such as user later on. For now, let's just we only need to change the created at to our naive datetime. Okay, now let's copy this map error and paste it after await. After that, we'll do into iter and then we'll do map. So into iter will be basically going through every single element and then we'll mapping that. So in map, we'll return a variable of type post model. And after map, we'll do collect. So this collect will basically collect all the models and create a vector. This is not taking the type automatically, so we'll need to define the type. We'll do vec post model. Now time to fill in the to-dos. So we'll simply just do post ID, post title, and so on. Now we'll convert all this post into string. To convert into string, we'll just do survey JSON to string, and then we'll pass on our variable. Now we just need to return the res str instead of that empty string. Now let's create one more method for all posts. So this will not have any filter condition. We'll just get all the posts. We'll create one final method. We'll create one more method. This one will be to get a single post. Okay, we'll use UUID to identify the post because they're unique. And to get the UUID, we'll use a path variable. So in the URL, we'll do slash, and inside curly braces, we'll do post UUID. Now we can get this post UUID inside our parameters using web path and then just giving the type of data. Now we'll remove the iter and collect because we are just getting one post, so we don't need to iter over it or collect it. Finally, at the end, we'll need to add an OK or because there is a chance that it doesn't find any post. Okay, so with this, our basic post methods are ready. We'll add these methods inside our routes. Okay, so first up we have our secured routes. So basically the routes with middleware. In that we'll add two services, one for create post and another one for my post. Next we have regular routes that do not have any middleware before them. In that we'll have our single post and all post. Let's add this post routes itself to our main routes in our main, and then we'll run this. Okay, our application is running fine. Let's test these routes. First we need to register because we did migrate fresh, so all the data has been removed. Now let's just copy this token and set it in our authentication. Okay, now our user route is working. One more thing. In post routes, we have given the same URL to both the scopes. So let's change that a bit. For the scope which has the middleware, we'll add secure before the post. Okay, now this is the route without any authentication, and this is working. Next, let's test one of the route which is secured. So we'll do /secure/post create. So we're creating a post. This is a post route, not a get route. And we are getting a post created, which means both our secured routes and unsecured routes are working. Let's test one more. We'll do /post/all posts. So here we are getting the post which we just created. Now let's take the UUID from this post and also test out the single post one. Yep, and we are getting a single post in this one. Now let's test the my post route. So this was secured, so we'll do secure post, my post, and this is also working. Okay, now let's add one more field, which is user field inside our post model. This will be of type option user model. We haven't created user model, we'll do that right now. So we'll do struct user model, and then we'll give, let's say, name and email. We haven't created much fields in our user, so we have only these two currently to add. So when we are fetching details of post, we will also fetch the details of user. Not every time, because it's not needed every time. But let's say we are displaying a single post, then the author information is also displayed. So for most of these map functions, we'll just do user none, because we don't really display user information. But let's say in our when we are fetching a single post, then we should be fetching the user information and also sending it to the user. Let's do user none for now, because we need to first join the two table. For that, we'll do find also related. This is a left join which will help us connect the post and get the user information. Now there are various types of functions inside Sea ORM that we can use for our particular situation and our requirements to join two tables. We can also create custom joins, but for our current requirements, this is the one we'll be using. So this returns a tuple, because of which we need to add post.0 for all the fields like title, text. But for user, we'll have to do post.1 and then we'll map the user, because currently it will get the default user model, but we want our user model. Now let's test it out in our postman. And here you can see we are getting user information with the post information. So that's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one.